Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the show. It is my great joy to welcome as a guest today, Mielle Fox. Beyond her career in oral healthcare, she is an avid equestrian, author, podcaster, and an advanced numerologist. Welcome, Mielle.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jen. I really appreciate the invite. It's going to be a
Yes,
great talk.
I know, I agree. I'm excited. I just love your energy so much, and I know our listeners well too. So I'd love for you to share more with us about uh you're multi-passionate, right? I'd love for you to
Yes,
share more with us about the path that you're on and what has inspired you to the work that you're doing.
absolutely. I'd love to. So, my, like most of us, I have a story that has shaped and developed part of my journey, part of my path. And like most typical, the hero's journey, came across some lumps, bumps, and roadblocks along the way, and the challenges of those blocks have pushed me further down the path to realize just how much uh, internal strength and power each of us has by tapping into our true self or soul, our essence, versus letting our stories and beliefs and thoughts and childhood upbringing shape us. So I took the regular route that most people do when I was a kid, meaning go to school, get a career, do the thing, so on and so on, and had a few ahas through that. About 5 years ago, I had a family member become acutely ill and pass very suddenly. And I'm going to say that was really kind of my slap up the side of the head like, what are you doing? What are you really doing with your life? Why are you just doing the hamster wheel, going through the motions? Like, what's the deal? And so that in combination with my ever so geeky, curious mind to connect science and spirituality has sort of created these different iterations, which are all in the description that you offered at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, yeah, I love that so much. And I love that you're so multi-passionate too, because uh we were actually, you had said something before we hit record about labels, right? And it's so true. You know, it's like we're always trying to pin ourselves down to a certain way to explain ourselves, and there's really just so many facets about each of us, right, that are unique, and so many things that we love and enjoy. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. um
Yeah.
Tell us more about your work with horses. I just love animals, and I'm so fascinated, especially with horses. They have so much wisdom. They're so majestic.
Yes. So it's very interesting the fantasy that people hold about having horses and the reality of the day to day living with them and caretaking of them and all the things. And I feel so lucky and blessed because I stumbled into it. I stumbled into having horses. I started as an adult. I did not have horses as a kid. I did not ride as a kid. Of course, like every little girl, mommy, mommy, I want a horse. I want to ride. Wasn't available. My folks just didn't have much. And I did not start riding until my mid 30s, which is when I first started. And I did what most people do, which truthfully, again, talking about labels and talking about societal expectations, and then finally peeling all that back and getting down the essence of what's really important and how do we really communicate with not only other humans but our animals.
Yeah.
It really boils down to being in a state of receivership, being expansive, being open, being curious. So the amazing thing about a horse, for your watchers and listeners, a horse has an electromagnetic field around them that is exponentially greater than our human electromagnetic field. So our heart, expands in our aura and all this resonates around us, I don't know, a couple feet, let's say. A horse is about three times that, if not more. So what that really means is that their capacity to tune into your energy is sort of on steroids. Like they are able to pick up and read and integrate and interpret your energy, not just your body movement, but your heart resonance and your energy that you emit. They pick that up from a distance, really. So many people are very much attracted to horses, not only because they're majestic, and they are, and they're probably one of the most spiritually enlightened furry beasties on the planet, to be honest. Far more so than we humans, by the way, just saying. But they are the ultimate mirror. They're the ultimate reflector. So if you want to kind of know, like, hey, where's my growth game at? Where's my healing game at? Where's my being in tune with myself at? Just spend a little time with a horse. And there's just no hiding it. They reflect where you're either doing a great job with yourself or where there's some holes. And that's really the amazing piece of the horses. Yeah, it's
I love
amazing.
that so much. Something I talk about often, just generally and with clients that I work with is the importance of living expressed in our truth, really in the truth of who we are, free of constructs, right? Because with a lot of people, there's living your truth according to who you think you're supposed to be, and then there's like really living your truth, right? Living a soul-led life, really living from that intuitive space. What do you think? Two things. What do you think horses can teach us most about living from our intuition? And what would be your number one piece of advice for someone to live their life embodied in their truth?
So, without getting too crazy and getting on the pulpit here and doing my speech, which is so dear to my heart, I really feel like as a soul, we show up here on earth in a human expression. And
Mhm.
there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because we're here to experience all the things. And all the things is not always rainbows, right? All the things sometimes
Yep.
really stinks.
Yes.
It's really hard and it's tough. But there's a reason for that. And so yes, while we think we're all here to get ourselves all ascended and go back to wherever, there's a journey here we're supposed to experience in
Yes.
this human body. So let's just get that on the table. A horse, it is also a soul embedded in some form, being the human versus the horse body. But the
Mhm.
difference, the major difference that I see between us and them, one is um, we have the capacity to hold on to things in such a way that it redirects our nervous system beyond a certain window of time. So for a horse, they truly are in the moment. It's not that they don't have memory. It's not that they don't have things that bring up a response in them, because they certainly do. Anyone who's watched a horse run across a field knows this. But they are experts in being present, being in the moment present, like what is going on right this very moment. And
Mhm.
that is the true essence of how they move forward in the world. So when we talk about do they function from their intuition? Yeah, I think they do, but their intuition for a horse is also wrapped up in a slightly different package than it is for a human. For us humans, we battle constantly with the concept of our mind doing all the activity, the thinking and the programming and the ego-based thoughts and what does this mean? And we live in a state of judgment. What's someone going to think of me? Do they like the color of my hair or my shirt or my whatever? Those are all human constructs. Your horse out in the field is not looking at the other horse in the field going, oh, I wonder if they think my mane looks pretty today and is my tail going the right way?
Right. No,
No,
they're
that is just
living.
not.
They're living.
They're living. They're just living. They're like, where's the next piece of grass and how do I stay comfortable and safe? And that's all they really care about. That's their goal. How do I maintain safety? So there's a big difference. What do we as humans do? We spend a lot of time in our head versus our heart. And what does a horse do? It spends a tremendous amount of time in that heart space, which, as you know, energetically is your direct phone line, quite frankly, to what's beyond 3D.
Yeah,
It's your direct link to your 5D and more. And for a horse, it's just not obstructed with all the junk that humans put on themselves.
right.
Yeah, yeah. And your second question was what would be my suggestion to live in your intuition?
Yeah, what would be your number one piece of advice to living a soul-led life? I mean,
So I think the first step to really trying to tap into leading a soul-led life is to one, have awareness. Awareness being, hey, if maybe something's not working, instead of getting ticked off like, oh, this isn't working, perhaps have that awareness of, hey, something's not ringing right to me. Two, have the curiosity to say, I wonder how this might look different or feel different or be different. So being curious. Three, kind of taking some self-responsibility for what goes on in the world in your life, because truthfully, what you see is what you project. Like how you are and how you move through the world is what you become because that is what you're putting out. You're projecting what is showing up for you, basically. And if you don't like it, then change what you project. I mean, it's really pretty straightforward. So I would say awareness, curiosity, uh, self-responsibility, and the last piece would be receptivity, I think. Being willing and open to be receptive for opportunities. And in order to do that, you got to let some of the conditionality and the judging go down the hole.
yeah,
You,
yeah. It's funny you
you
bring up
know?
judging because I just shared something recently about that, right? About letting go of false truths and how
Hmm.
judgment is one of the biggies, right? Even we even judge sometimes and we don't realize it in the name of good, you know?
Yes.
Oh, that person
Yes.
is, they have to be stopped, or, there's a lot of that going around in the world these days. And understanding that even that is a form of judgment, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, judgment's a biggie. Wow, those are all great tips that you shared. Yeah, all biggies too. All biggies.
So the other piece that I've kind of learned, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've spent a lot of time kind of asking myself questions and digging deep and looking into some kind of dark holes that are like, ooh, don't really want to go down there, but you got to. Sometimes you got to, or you don't get to move on to the next. And one of the things that I've really, really had a huge awareness about and a recognition of is when we feel whatever, or when we believe whatever the thing may be, that emotion or that feeling, think of it to me, I think of it like it's a data point. That's really not the problem. The problem is, what do you attach to that? What is the story you attach to that feeling? What is the thought you attach to that feeling? What is the archaic belief that you've been dragging around like a lead ball and chain forever that's attached to the thing that quote
Yeah.
unquote triggers you or makes you feel a certain way? And again, when we pare it all down, what is that? That's an attachment or an expectation to something, which is based on not your heart, it's based on your mind. It's based
Yes.
on what you tell yourself. Yes.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I was also just having conversation with someone else where we were talking about how, manifesting, right? And so many of the teachings, even now in the personal development industry and in some spiritual communities too, right, are actually being taught, from the mind, like manifesting from the mind. And And it's not about that, right? It's more about dropping into your heart space, as that's the intersection of the spiritual and physical. Like you said earlier, you're a soul here in this human body having this experience. I teach that as well, that the whole point of being here is to become, is the journey to becoming more deeply embodied in our divinity. That is remembering the truth of who we are in and through this human body. And so
Yes.
really teaching from that space, right? It's like, how many times have you even said it to yourself? And I know I've said it to myself and everyone else too. It's like somebody gives you some information or says something and you're like, well, I know that already. Well, yeah, you know that, sure. The question isn't, do you know that? The question is, do you live that? Are you that, right? Are you that in your body?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the other piece to kind of make things a little bit more simplified for folks watching and listening is if you sort of take this, just kind of follow this little train of thought for a minute. If everything is energy, and we know this, 99.999% of everything is energy and 0.01 blah, 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 blah is material. So basically everything's energy, right? Big old pile of waveforms, just like the ocean. Wave, 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 wave. Everything's energy. That's great. Okay, that means technically your cells are energy. The contents of your cells are energy.
Yep.
Everything within your human body is energy. It's just kind of gathered and assembled into different forms, organ systems, bones, muscles. Your brain is a pile of energy as well. However, when your soul gets dumped into your human body, and here you have this brain, it is set up specifically to help your human, not your soul, your human. So here you are with these kind of like two different, they're not opposite systems. They're systems that just need to understand how do we put the cogs together? How do we align to create a better communication and resonance between our head and our heart? Because truthfully, your soul is a heart-led event. It's a higher self soul-led event, and your human is like a head-led event, basically. And so your statement of people wanting to manifest through, change your mindset, give yourself an affirmation. Well, that's all really well and good. But if you don't kind of hit that in, shall I say, the heart of things or in the cellular level, then it's just sitting right here. And you're not really going to have the capacity to really experience the available expansion and abundance that your soul led being can experience when you drop into your heart space. Uh, that's just my opinion. My other opinion is, we are from the divine, and to the divine we shall go when we're done here. So that to me, that means we're all divine sparks of love. We're all here. We're here uniquely. We're here differently. I'm not you, you're not me. But at a soul level, we are all divine sparks of love. Period. I mean, that's the whole concept behind unity and the oneness and everything really having some kind of an interconnection. So if we can kind of get out of here and get down into here a little more, and for those of you who aren't watching, I'm pointing at my head, my heart, and get that better aligned, gosh, it makes the journey much more fun.
Yeah,
So
and it's
much
a
more
journey,
fun.
right? Not a destination. It's a journey. It's an everyday devotion.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I do say that, I mean, I know sometimes I'm so direct, it's a little scary. I say to people, listen, I know you're in this big old hurry to get ascended and elevated and la di da di da, but guess what? The day you finally reach that end point, that quote unquote destination, your time on earth is up. See you, bye. You're done. Because now you have I don't know, outlived, outused the value of your human body in this journey. So when you finally got yourself so well ascended, you don't need the human body anymore. So guess what? You get to leave Earth. Bye. So if you want to really extend your journey, live in your soul essence, but be it. Be mindful of it.
Well,
Enjoy
and
it.
ascension is embedded within the human experience. They're not separate.
Yes.
That's separation consciousness. Like there is some, it can happen, right? I've been there too. You get stuck in your upper chakras. It's not separate, right? The whole point of being here is and ascending and rising in your frequency and your conscious awareness is to be in this human body, in this human experience. And it's interesting and fascinating because the more deeply you allow yourself to be in your body and to be present, the ascension happens, you know?
Yes, but again, how does that happen? Through alignment, through letting go, through not judging, through not holding, through
Right,
not having all these conditions attached to everything.
right.
Yes,
So I'd love to switch gears and actually,
sure.
for listeners who aren't familiar with what numerology is,
Yeah,
right? Can you provide a brief explanation of what numerology is, how it benefits us, and how you work with numerology?
sure. So I strongly believe that our language from 5D beyond to here is energy. And I believe that it comes through in lots of different, call them dialects if you want. Some people like to study numbers, some people do astrology, some people do, I don't know, whatever. I mean, there's a whole lot. Some people do it through music, some people do it through dance. Energy is energy is energy. It is the language that we understand. But again, it comes as different dialects. My preferred dialect for me that I just really love is numerology because I'm kind of a sciencey, numbery. I like patterns, I like numbers, that sort of thing. So the study of numerology is really the study of transformation. It's the science of transformation as described through the energy that is held within certain numbers. And so within each number, there's a spectrum of energy or a spectrum of vibrational frequencies, if you want to call it that. And each of us, when we come here to Earth and take on our human body on our birth date, we are here with a very specifically divinely coded blueprint associated with the day we show up on the Earth for this journey. We can get into multiple time frames and all that business later, but for this journey. So one can actually utilize the information from the numbers to offer you a possibility of how you can utilize your coding, your codes, in a way that is to your best interest. So if you, it's a lot like predicting weather. So if you knew it was going to be raining, you might take an umbrella. If you knew you had snow coming, you might actually pack mittens and a hat. If you had no clue, you might walk out there in your shorts and a t-shirt and get soaking wet. So knowing your numerology is a means by which you have some extra information that doesn't guarantee you it's going to rain on Monday, but it allows you to be prepared for what Monday might bring. So the numbers are basically a means by which you can have a better understanding of how your human is moving through this lifetime based on your coded blueprint. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. That was a great explanation. And how has it been most beneficial for you?
It's been very helpful for me because it's allowed me to see things that maybe as a younger person I thought were problems, issues, faults,
Yeah.
challenges, areas of weakness are really actually gifts for me. Things that are in my code that I'm like, oh, well, so you see, it's not really so much of a problem now, is it? It's actually finding like it's sort of like you have a pile of keys on your key ring, you're trying to figure out which one goes in the lock.
Yeah.
If you kind of had an idea, you can open the lock a whole lot easier.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
it's really helped me to see various potential perspectives of my personal truth
Hmm.
through my code. Yeah, it's been super
Great.
helpful for me.
That's
Yeah.
great. I'd love for you to tell us about your book because you're an author too, right?
Yeah. So, it's so funny how I kind of walk through life. People say, hey, you want to do whatever? And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, let's try that. Why not? Because I just like things, I like to spice it up. I like to try different things.
Mhm.
So, I co authored a book with 11 other ladies, and it's called Activating the Divine Human. And it's a series of stories or a series of each of these individuals kind of telling their how I got to where I am story. And when I was asked to author a chapter in this book, I kind of took it on like a homework assignment, to be honest, like, oh, yeah, sure, I could do that, no problem. And what I really discovered in the writing of it is it was so cathartic and so healing
Yeah.
for me in the writing. Um, it really also, as I wrote out my story, it really brought to light things that I'd sort of buried, like, yeah, that's not so important. And then as I wrote, I'm like, whoa, that's really pretty significant. And by actually not speaking it, but writing it, like getting it out, really brought a lot of opportunity for forgiveness and growth, both. Um, some of it was, I've reread, of course, as you write a chapter, you reread your things over and over and over. And I've reread it and I'm kind of like, whoa, if it wasn't me writing this and knowing this is my story, I would just be flabbergasted. I'd be like, whoa, that poor thing. But I have written it in the hopes that somebody will get out of it what they need from it and understand that one, you're not alone. There are many people who are not necessarily having your experience, but having something that you can relate to. Um, Two, we all deserve to be seen and heard regardless. Three, we are all enough and deserving of love. So this thing like it's not for me, it's for everybody else. That's a pile of crap. That's a story we tell ourselves. Um, and four, freaking live your life now so that you don't get to the end of it with regrets that you didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that because I've co-authored a couple of books as well, and I know more and more people are feeling guided to share their story, and there really is a power in sharing your story. It's very healing for yourself, and it's very healing for others to read your story, to relate to your experiences. I really feel like it really brings us closer together as a collective. There's so much importance in sharing your story.
I think there is. And I also feel that in not sharing a story, if one feels called to do so, I gotta think how to say this nicely without sounding really terrible about it. It's almost a responsibility that you should share something because the thing that you're holding, thinking nobody wants to know, nobody wants to hear this, it's not that important, does it really matter? The thing that you share could very well be the thing that either changes somebody's life or saves somebody's life. And you don't know that.
Yeah.
And to hold that inside and not give it its own breath to move through,
Mhm.
to me is kind of a crime in its own way. And I never really thought about it that way until after I read some of these other stories that these other gals have put into this book, and I reread my own, and I'm like, wow, these stories, no matter what page you open to, it's life changing, really. It really
Yes.
is.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
absolutely is.
yeah.
In closing, what else are you feeling guided to bring forward at this time?
I think I would just really like to really share with folks, don't wait. Like, don't wait to tell your story. Don't wait to work on yourself. Don't give it all that, oh, I can't do this for me because I have to take care of whatever and fill in the blank. I don't have time. I can't. These are all stories that we tell ourselves for some reason. And if you're not sure what the reason is, I would say sit with yourself and ask yourself, why am I thinking this? Why am I saying this? And ask yourself the final question, is this true? Is what I'm babbling the truth for me at this time? And you're going to know whether you're telling yourself the truth or if you're not, because your heart can't lie to you.
Yeah,
It's in
absolutely.
there.
Yep, yep. The
Yeah.
heart can't lie, the body doesn't lie.
No, no. And sometimes you don't want to hear that, but hey, That's it. And my other piece is grab this life with everything you got. This is like your treasure hunt. You're here. It seems like it's going to be a long time, but my golly, it's a big blip on the screen. Take advantage of it. Grab it with both hands and run. Like, have a good time. Do the thing. Be curious. Experience it. This is it.
Yeah,
Have fun.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
For those who want to connect more deeply with you, where is the best place to go?
Sure. So I'm all the social platforms, Instagram, Facebook the most because I still work full time, so I'm not really bumping all over social too much. There's currently a website called Foxden Energetics. There's a Facebook group, Foxden Energetics. There's a podcast, Energy of the Untamed Heart. The book is available on Amazon if anybody wants to take a look. It's called Activating the Divine Human. Um, and you can literally like Google-ate me. I show up everywhere. I have kind of a weird name and I show up everywhere.
Yeah, and
And
we'll
I'm
have
happy to talk to anybody.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And we'll have this information in the show notes
sure.
for those who are listening and watching as well. What a pleasure speaking with you, having the opportunity
Thank
to get
you.
to know
Yeah,
you, and thank you for sharing your light and your wisdom with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It's been a blast.
Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.